Good morning and welcome to the NBA Daily. Coming up, John Wilmes from RealGM is here. We're going to talk about the Lakers dominating the Thunder and a couple of MVPs in purgatory as we head to the playoffs. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, John. John Wilmes, my good buddy who writes over at RealGM, filling in for Zena and S, who are both off. I mean, Zena is not even off, to be honest with you. I mean, she's working like women's national championship game, which she's probably recording like right now. John, thanks for joining me. We just got done watching the Los Angeles Lakers handily beat the Oklahoma City Thunder thanks to an amazing shooting performance. I mean, I'm pretty sure they just hit another three-pointer in post game that they're going to count. What's your big takeaway? I think that this is game one. They've got another matchup Tuesday night, so it's a back-to-back for them. What's your big takeaway from round one of the new look Lakers versus the Thunder?
It's a tiny vision of like the Thunder's worst nightmare, right? Where you've been kind of wondering all season long if their sort of playoff level intensity would cease to be an advantage once we get closer to and then into the playoffs, right? And obviously your MVP, likely MVP, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, had a productive day. Yeah. Let me pull up the numbers on that, but I believe he was very productive from the field. He 12 for 23, but he didn't get to the free throw line at all. And then nobody else on the team clicked offensively. They created an okay amount of turnovers too, like they usually do. Mm-hmm. But the Lakers just sort of meeting and actually surpassing their intensity level is maybe something that you kind of worried about all season long with the Thunder.
Yeah, listen, the Thunder have a reputation for being extremely physical, and I thought that the Lakers, whatever their game plan was on point. Number one, they came out just as physical as the Thunder. I thought they kind of raised the level of what a foul call was going to be pretty early on, which is good because usually I think the Thunder does this to other teams. And by matching that intensity, I think they punched the Thunder in the mouth a little bit. And it helps that, look, they wound up going 22 of 40 from three. So we can throw the results out to a certain degree because that is an aberrational shooting performance. But there were big takeaways, I thought, on the defensive end in the half court, the way that the Lakers were both willing to switch a big Jackson Hayes out onto Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and then they were pre-rotating behind the action to cut off the driving lanes. And part of that is that's what took away some of the free throws for Shai because there was just no one coming in with bad fouls. I thought that the discipline that the Lakers showed, again, they seem like the veteran team that they are.
Yeah, the mouth punchers got mouth punched, right?
Yeah.
We knew it was going to happen at some point, right? I'm not going to worry too much. They're still going to win probably 68 or 67 games. They're an incredible team. But it is a questionable time to have kind of your difficult moment, right? The playoffs are about to start. And the fear coming into the season with the Thunder was that they were going to be too Shai-dependent offensively still. That was their problem in the playoffs last year. They never really showed themselves not to be very Shai-dependent offensively. Their defense has just been so overwhelming that having Shai score a lot and then killing teams with their defense has been enough to win that many games. But who's going to step up and be also a really good scorer against playoff defenses? We still don't really see an answer to that question.
This was supposed to be Jalen Williams. His time to shine. He puts up 16 points in the game, 4 of 14 from the field. You just really didn't feel him. And it reminds me a little bit of last year in the playoffs, right? They went down the stretch of last season, and they do this down the stretch of games, a little bit back and forth where, hey, Shai, you're going until they turn that water off. And now Jalen, you go while the defense is just keyed in on Shai not touching the ball. And again, that's what we saw. Only Jalen Williams wasn't able to raise the level of play. I mean, I just don't know. Again, this is a title contender. I think they're the favorites in the West. I'm not going to take away too much from this one, but I'm going to put you on the spot to make a bold take off this game. And if I was going to do it, I would say Jalen Williams has to step up if this team is going to not just win the finals, but make it to the finals. I mean, the playoffs in the West, it's so much closer than it maybe looks with the standings. And I know like Oklahoma City has had just an incredible run, the playoffs just being a different beast. You need that second guy to be able to get a bucket.
Yeah, I actually thought that maybe Holmgren could have been that second guy at the very beginning of the season. He was just cooking offensively. But then, of course, he got hurt and was out for a couple months, 2-3 months.
Yeah.
And came back and, he's been great, but he didn't really pick up where he left off in terms of that chef stuff from the beginning of the season, where it looked like he really had some extra juice going on. So that could be, that could still happen. He still could become a more, number 2 type scorer. But with Williams, yeah, I mean, we just still haven't seen it in big games. So I'm just waiting for it, I guess.
Okay, so if I'm putting you on the spot, bold take for the Thunder coming out of this game.
Bold take. They're too young. They can't do it, is my bold take, right? But my real thought is that, they over the course of a 7-game series, and they just keep on coming, right? I'm sure you watched that Final Four game between Duke and Houston last night, right? Mm-hmm. And Houston.
I turned it off. I will be honest here. Turned it off with 2 minutes left. Duke up 64-55. I was like, oh, this is done.
So no, it wasn't. Obviously,
it was not done.
But what Houston did over the course of that one game is something that I still kind of see the Thunder doing over the course of most series that they're in. Mm-hmm. I do think it looks like, here's my maybe bold and correct take. It's going to be a lot more of a fight for them than it has looked like all season. I still kind of think that they're going to most likely win. They're going to be most likely to win every fight they get in, including in the finals, in my opinion. But yeah, it does look like it's going to be a lot more of a struggle.
All right. Well, so let's swing it to the Lakers side of this. Number one, if you're a Mavericks fan, just turn it off. Just turn off the podcast. Go do something else. Luka Doncic really changes things for them. Number one, it has completely revitalized LeBron at both ends. And him being a play finisher, I think, has just been huge. We've been hitting this for weeks now on that. But the Austin Reeves component of this and what it has done for him, where he's essentially become the second playmaker, but to a different degree than he was behind LeBron when LeBron was the primary guy. Like, it really does feel like oftentimes Luka is handing the keys to Austin Reeves for multiple possessions in a row. And I really think that that's allowed them to have, like, it's a fastball and then a bit of a curveball with Luka. I don't know how you feel about it.
Yeah, I just don't think that in the Western Conference, there might not be any teams that can guard both Luka and LeBron straight up. How many teams have two guys? Right. That one can guard LeBron, one can guard Luka, maybe the Celtics. That's kind of it, though, right?
Yeah.
Austin Reeves is going to continue to get really, really good opportunities. He obviously knows what to do with them, right? Yeah. The Luka thing it looked great today. It didn't look so great against the Warriors on Friday. You see Lakers fans start to realize that this is more of a roller coaster with Luka than maybe they thought at first. But when it works, it works. It's unbelievable. When was the last time we saw two guys together with this level of creativity and size? It's just maybe never. Maybe never.
Legitimately, never. The fun thing for me, when you see a guy like LeBron and you can see that he's actually having fun offensively, he looks re-energized in a way as this facilitator, which is funny because we've been talking so much about his play finishing. But I do think, like, him being able to get to be the middleman and to get the assist instead of be the hockey assist guy, I think I don't know. He seems to have woken up quite a bit in that role. Bold takeaway for the Lakers for me is JJ Redick has this team ready to play every single big game. Every big game, they come out with a game plan that is very clear what they're trying to accomplish. And I think that 9 times out of 10, like, they're getting it done. I gotta tip the cap because I was one of the people that I was skeptical Guys come in, he was a player and a good player, but he was coming off never coaching. I think he coached like middle school basketball or something like that. And they put a really good staff together around him. And man, they've just been doing a great job.
He's got them doing homework, right?
Yeah.
They have to do homework, right? They don't have anybody in the middle. And that is a weakness that they can often cover up. They do have big wings. They've got like 4 big wings, right? Yeah. With Luka and LeBron and Rui and Finney-Smith, right? And you can rebound pretty well with that. But ultimately, you want something in the middle. And there's only so much homework you can do to cover over that. But like they're going to do every bit of homework that they have to do, right?
Yeah.
I don't think there was enough homework for them to deal with Steph Curry just getting isolated on Luka and going right to the rack and having no center to deal with on Friday night. I don't think there was enough homework you could do to solve that problem.
Yeah, definitely.
But against a less experienced team like the Thunder, maybe they'll face the Rockets, right? Even the Wolves are significantly less experienced than the Lakers. They could just homework their way through it.
Yeah. Guys, stick around after the break. John and I are going to go a little bit deep on Giannis and Jokic and the seasons that they're in and the purgatory that faces them this summer. In any other season, if the Nuggets or the Bucks were the 1 seed in their conference, Giannis or Jokic would be the front runners for MVP with the numbers that they're putting up this year. I mean, Jokic is now on a 5-year run of having the best season ever for anyone, 5 years in a row. I mean, he could have just won every single MVP award. Obviously, this year, it feels like it's Shai's award to lose. And I actually agree with that. I like the idea of best player on the best team, and especially because you can't argue against Shai's numbers. It's not like he's, putting up 23 a game or something like that. I mean, he's putting up legitimate MVP numbers. He is going to win the MVP, and I think rightfully.
And I think Shai's an identity maker. I think that Absolutely. They follow his lead and they play in a very specific way.
And I think it is a narrative award, right? More so. Baseball, man, I always go back to the season that A-Rod won the MVP on a 50-win team. That is a bad idea if you're trying to tell the story of the season with the award. And I think that's what the MVP should do. So Shai is the story. The Oklahoma City Thunder are the story. Perfect award winner. But for both Giannis and Jokic, I think that this is an important playoff run. I mean, Jokic, we saw them just have disappointment the last couple seasons since they won. This season has not gone to plan for them. I think it's been more of a struggle than a lot of us expected, especially considering we felt like they were at full health. You described this to me as MVPs in purgatory. What happens if the Nuggets just fail to produce in the playoffs? And what does that even mean? Like, do they have to make the conference finals? Or if they don't make the finals, is that a failure? Like, where would you put the bar?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think with their loss to the Timberwolves last year, it ultimately looked relatively valiant. It was a 7-game series. They were uniquely equipped to deal with Jokic with 3 bigs they could throw at him, right? You just kind of had to throw your hands up to a certain extent. There were things maybe they could have done differently. I know we talked about them not playing Peyton Watson enough in that series where you really needed athleticism. And I expect him to play a lot in whatever matchups they have in the playoffs this year. Right. But if they go out sad, if they don't look very competitive against anyone, that could be time for maybe Coach Malone to be on the hot seat, maybe a big trade to happen. I know Michael Porter Jr. has always been that big contract that you could potentially move for some kind of different look. I don't really know. I don't see Jokic as a guy who's going to agitate just because we've literally never even gotten a hint of that.
Right.
Who knows what he really thinks? He's a pretty private guy. But we just have no hint of that. So I don't see him going anywhere necessarily. But do you have to adjust the team around him? If it doesn't go well these playoffs, then yeah, probably. I will say that their record is a lot better when Aaron Gordon plays, and he's missed 30 or 40 games or something this season. So it might just be kind of an illusion If Gordon is healthy for the playoffs, he's shooting threes better than he ever has. They might just be awesome, and maybe they won't win. They won't win the championship, but they're not going to go out sad.
Well, it's going to be matchup dependent, I think that the styles make fights thing for the NBA right now, especially in the Western Conference. That's how it's all going to shake out. If the Oklahoma City Thunder ran into the Nuggets early, like a second round, I don't love that matchup for OKC because of Jokic and what he's able to do. Yeah. So I do think that they've got as good of a shot as anyone in the West. I still put OKC first, but it's more the fallout if they don't perform in the playoffs. I think the MPJ contract situation is actually the one to key on because of the new CBA and the restrictions that are on teams that are in the position the Nuggets are in to build. They would have to essentially move on from him to just get a couple of extra pieces because depth is really the big limiting factor for them. It's not the high-end talent. They have that. It's what happens when Jamal Murray is out or has to go on the bench. And what's amazing is Christian Brown, when we came to the season, we were thinking about him as potential weak link, and he's been excellent this year. It's more what happens when you have to go to the bench. And that brings me to the Russell Westbrook question when we get to the playoffs. We saw the other night, and Russ, you live by Russ, you die by Russ sometimes. And we saw the way that the end of that Timberwolves game went the other night. What happens in the playoffs when a Russ situation arises? Is Michael Malone willing to bench him to go to, Christian Brown or Peyton Watson or whatever? I mean, do you think that he would be able to do that? Or do you think he sticks with Russ?
Michael Malone likes to play veterans. So that is a concern there, right? Maybe he'll just go with Russ because Russ is a veteran. Again, he didn't really play Watson very much against the Timberwolves last year when they badly needed his athleticism, right? Who's been very good lately, finally, Jalen Pickett. Yeah. Jalen Pickett needs to play in the playoffs. And really, Russ just shouldn't close games, is how I feel about it. There's just such a long track record of exploding in these high pressure moments. And the ideal scenario with Westbrook and the Nuggets kind of has mostly happened, actually. He's really helped them through like guys sitting out and helping them pick up their intensity level as a team that's been there, done that. Right. And he has really helped them a lot all season long. But now that we're getting closer to the playoffs, you're starting to see the other side of the coin. And yeah, Mike Malone does need to be prepared to maybe pull the plug.
Yeah. Let's swing it over to the Bucks because the Bucks, this situation is a little bit different. They made a big move to bring in Damian Lillard last year. Obviously, they wind up having to make a coaching change. Look, if you go to Doc Rivers, you've had some problems, and Doc has not been able to solve them. Now, we go into the playoffs. We don't know yet if Damian Lillard is going to be available. My guess is probably not, just given the gravity of what he's dealing with. It does feel as if this situation is much more tenuous than what you have with Jokic and Denver. There has been talk for years around Giannis potentially leaving, and he has never given an inclination that he would want to do that. But man, it just feels like now Middleton's gone. It's a whole new coaching staff. Everyone's there. It's probably we're probably in the twilight for Brook Lopez in Milwaukee. I would be very nervous if I was a Bucks fan heading into this playoffs, because if it's a first round out, I would be very worried Giannis would push that button.
Yeah, I mean, the smoke has been there forever, right? Recently, he actually opened a fitness brand store with his brothers called Antetokounmpo. And the flagship store, is across the street from the stadium. And this is the kind of thing that Bucks fans are like reading the tea leaves with, right? They're like, oh, he won't leave now because he just did that, right? The fact that you have to even think that way and have had to for years, right, means that, something really could happen. At the same time, we haven't seen healthy playoff Giannis in 3 years. It's crazy that's true. It's not like he's some sort of perpetually injured player either. He's just gotten hurt at the wrong time 3 years in a row.
Right.
And he's looking pretty incredible and pretty healthy right now. So despite everything that is going wrong with the Bucks and everything that they haven't really done right, he's a guy who could win a series on his own. So I'm just excited to see him in the playoffs again. But yeah, if it doesn't go well and they don't look good, I mean, I don't see how you can just run it back. That just doesn't seem feasible.
To improving that team, I mean, they don't have an MPJ contract to move, you know? No. And Damian Lillard
they already moved Chris Middleton.
Old. That's right. And Damian Lillard is kind of old. Giannis, I mean, next year's his age 31 season, you know, not getting any younger. And so I had this thought, if OKC were to, I don't know, let's say the worst case scenario, they lose in the first round, right? What if OKC backs up the truck to Milwaukee and they say, hey, here's a bunch of stuff. I don't know, maybe it's Chet, Jalen, picks. I'm not sure what it would take. If you're the Bucks, you have to start thinking that way, right? Because at this point, this team, I think you've gotten as much as you can possibly get out of them. You have to start thinking about what's next and whether that's with Giannis or without Giannis. I mean, I'm assuming their preference is with him, but you know, what if they get one of these overwhelming offers this summer? I mean, what kind of a haul does Giannis bring in?
Yeah, I mean, it's almost impossible to fathom, because if you go to a game in Milwaukee, it's a relatively new stadium and there's a whole business district around it, including his new apparel store. And you have to realize, like, this would not exist if it was not for him. Like, there was not enough interest in the Bucks for them to get public funding for all this stuff and to build a whole business district around this new stadium. Like, this simply wouldn't happen without Giannis, right? So for him to ever not be there is pretty difficult to fathom. But I mean, again, if it doesn't go well, like, I don't see the path forward either. I don't think that you're going to get a lot for a Dame Lillard trade at this point, right? So if you really, really want the team to be good again anytime soon, you do have to consider that, of course.
Yeah. Give me a bold prediction for the playoffs. I know you've got one in you. Who do you have, like a surprise championship winner?
I don't have a surprise championship winner, but like I said about Giannis, I think he could win a series on his own. If they, no Dame Lillard, Bucks, Knicks, Bucks win. That's my bold prediction.
I like it. I like it a lot.
John Wilmes, how are the Knicks going to guard
How are they going to guard Giannis? I don't know. It's a good question. Yeah. Guys, go and read John over at RealGM. It's my homepage. It's the best place to pick up the quick news. Between that and The Athletic, it's got everything covered. That's going to do it for today's show, folks. Thank you, John, for hanging out with me. I am Dave DuFour, and this has been the NBA Daily. Thanks for waking up with us.